The Las Vegas Raiders may not be an exciting team right now, but they are about to take the league by storm in 2024.
Raiders!
You asked for it and we delivered. It's Fan Friday, and you, the fans, chose today's topic for Point of View. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know who you think will be the biggest surprise team next season. I'm guessing that many of you are picking the Raiders, but I gotta ask, why not? Is it because they just missed the playoffs? Or that they haven't won a playoff game since 2002? Or the fact that they just can't seem to get the quarterback position right? All very fair points, but hear me out. They're at least showing signs of being on the right path heading into next season. That path began last offseason when they finally got rid of their franchise QB, Derek Carr, after he spent the first 9 years of his career with the team. The Raiders went to the playoffs twice in that span and didn't win the division a single time. The front office finally had enough and let Carr go, which signaled a shift in front office expectations that would come to light later in the season. After winning just 3 of their first 8 games, Raiders owner Mark Davis had seen enough from their current leadership. Las Vegas fired head coach Josh McDaniels and general manager Dave Ziegler immediately after a loss to the Detroit Lions in late October. Just a few weeks earlier, Davis argued with fans about keeping McDaniels around and even told them to smarten up. However, the tension between Davis and the fans didn't last long, and the week after the firings, Davis emerged from the tunnel into Allegiant Stadium with loud thank yous from a roaring crowd. Just listen to this. Linebackers coach Antonio Pierce was given the interim head coach tag, and he made changes quickly, benching Jimmy Garoppolo, who had signed in the offseason for $67 million to be the starting QB. In my opinion, the decision to bench him wasn't all that hard. I mean, just look at a couple of these throws Garoppolo made in that Lions game. First, the pick that was right into double coverage and severely underthrown. That had no chance of being a completion. Then, pointing to the middle of the field like the defense actually believes you and throwing a duck to the sidelines. Not to mention 6 sacks in this game that can largely be attributed to Jimmy G's inability to move in the pocket. And that's just one game, so you can imagine why Pierce would want to make a move right away after experiencing that for 2 months. Rookie 4th-round selection Aiden O'Connell was thrust into the starting role, and the new-look Raiders were off and running. They went 5-4 in the team's remaining games, including a 63-21 drubbing of the Los Angeles Chargers and a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs to put them in the playoff picture heading into Week 17. They ultimately missed the playoffs, but the improvements were noticeable. They allowed the least amount of points in the NFL in the final 9 weeks of the season and were a top half scoring offense. Many of the Raiders players credited Pierce with the team's improvement. Perhaps most importantly, the Raiders' best player and biggest personality, Maxx Crosby, gave a glowing review of his coach on the Raiders Game Day show following the conclusion of the season. Listen in.
Yeah, it's unanimous. Everybody wants him back. I feel like we've done more than enough to prove that we built something special. It's not just a fluke. Every time we've gone out there, regardless of the end result, every game's been super competitive, and we've taken a lot of steps in the right direction. So you just feel us out there. Everyone's flying around. The energy's contagious, and that's something that it's hard to come across. And when you have a guy like AP that everyone respects unanimously, that's the result you get. So we just got to keep building in that direction and bring him home.
Maybe Mark Davis heard that interview, maybe not. Either way, Las Vegas made the decision to hire Antonio Pierce as the franchise's next full-time head coach on January 19th. They also just hired Tom Telesco as GM, formerly of the LA Chargers. Las Vegas now has a clear direction and a lot of upside to work with this offseason. But don't get me wrong, there's still a ton of work to do before they even sniff Super Bowl contention. O'Connell's likely not the long-term answer at QB. Jimmy G's contract is still on the books, and they could be losing a few defensive starters to free agency. To keep the momentum going into next season, they're going to have to use the draft and free agency wisely. They hold a 13th overall pick, which could be used on an impact defender or packaged with other picks to move up and select a quarterback. They also have over $40 million worth of projected cap space, which should be used to take a big swing at the top defensive free agent targets. That group includes Chris Jones, Josh Allen, and Brian Burns, among many others. The Raiders just can't afford to miss out if they want to take the next step. But with so many questions already answered and a locker room united by their coach, there's no telling what they can do going forward, and that's why they're my biggest surprise team for 2024. Another team that could turn some heads in 2024 is the Indianapolis Colts. For more on them, be sure to check out our recent point of view. Enjoy the weekend, and we hope to find you here again next week.